Afghanistan, a land we often associate with a single monolithic identity. But what if I told you that before the 7th century, this region was a vibrant crossroads of civilizations? Imagine a place where the serene faces of Buddhist statues gazed out from cliffsides, where Zoroastrian fire temples burned brightly, and Hindu deities were worshipped in bustling cities. This was the Afghanistan of antiquity, a melting pot of cultures, art, and ideas, profoundly shaped by Greek, Persian, and Indian influences. Cities like Balkh, Herat, and Kabul weren't just settlements, they were thriving hubs of Greco-Buddhist art and cosmopolitan life. This rich, diverse tapestry is the world we need to understand before we can grasp the monumental shift that was about to unfold. How did this land of 1,000 beliefs transform into the heartland of a new, powerful faith? The story isn't one of a single battle, but a slow, complex evolution that would forever redefine what it meant to be Afghan. The first whispers of a new faith, Islam, arrived on the eastern frontiers of the Rashidun Caliphate in the mid-7th century. But forget any image of a single overwhelming invasion. The first contact was far more nuanced. It wasn't one event, but a gradual process, spanning decades. Think of it less like a tidal wave and more like a rising tide. Arab armies, traders, and diplomats began to push eastward from Persia. Their arrival was initially met with fierce resistance from local rulers who were determined to protect their independence and their ancestral faiths. For years, the mountainous terrain and the resilient spirit of the local kingdoms in regions like Zabulistan and Kabulistan kept the Caliphate's forces at bay. This wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a slow, cautious dance of diplomacy, trade, and intermittent conflict. The new arrivals weren't just conquerors, they were also merchants bringing new goods and diplomats offering new alliances. This gradual interaction, this slow intermingling of peoples and ideas set the stage for a transformation that would be driven not just by the sword, but by politics, economics, and belief. The real turning point wasn't on the battlefield, but in the halls of power. As the decades passed, local Afghan rulers and elites began to see the writing on the wall. The Caliphate was a rising power, a political and economic giant that was here to stay. For many local kings and chieftains, particularly in strategic cities like Balkh, the mother of cities, conversion wasn't just a matter of faith, it was a matter of survival and opportunity. By accepting Islam, they could secure their positions, gain political stability, and forge powerful alliances with the new Islamic Empire. It also opened up lucrative trade advantages. The Islamic world was a vast, interconnected network, and being part of it meant access to markets, wealth, and influence that stretched from Spain to Central Asia. So one by one, local dynasties began to embrace Islam. This was a pragmatic choice, a strategic pivot that allowed them to preserve their authority while integrating into a new world order. It was this top-down conversion of the elite that truly unlocked the door for Islam's deeper cultural influence to flow into the heart of Afghan society. With the conversion of the rulers, a profound cultural shift began to ripple through Afghan society. The very look and sound of the land started to change. Grand Buddhist monasteries and Zoroastrian temples slowly gave way to new forms of architecture. Graceful mosques with soaring minarets began to dot the skyline, their call to prayer echoing through ancient valleys. Caravanserais, roadside inns for traders, sprang up along the Silk Road, becoming new hubs of commerce and cultural exchange. The languages of power and prestige also changed. Arabic, the language of the Quran and the new administration, and Persian, which was quickly becoming the lingua franca of the Eastern Islamic world, began to replace the Greek and Prakrit scripts that had been used for centuries. Great centers of Islamic scholarship emerged in cities like Herat and Balkh, attracting scholars and students from across the world. This wasn't just a change in religion, it was a complete reorientation of civilization. Afghanistan was being woven into the fabric of the Islamic world, absorbing its art, its science, and its philosophy, and in the process, a new identity was being forged. What happened to the ancient faiths that had defined this land for over 1,000 years? The decline of Buddhism and Zoroastrianism wasn't an overnight event. There were no mass-forced conversions in the modern sense. Instead, it was a slow, gradual fading away, a process of cultural assimilation that took centuries. As local rulers and patrons converted to Islam, the financial and political support for Buddhist monasteries and Zoroastrian fire temples dried up. Without this patronage, these ancient institutions began to wither. The great university at Nava Vihara in Balkh, once a world-renowned center of Buddhist learning, slowly lost its prominence. For the common people, the shift was even more gradual. As Islamic culture became dominant, as trade, law, and social life became increasingly intertwined with the new faith, converting simply became the path of least resistance and greatest opportunity. Islam offered a sense of belonging to a vibrant, powerful, and global community. Over generations, what was once a land of many faiths slowly but surely became a land where Islam was the central pillar of life and identity. A transformation driven less by force and more by the irresistible pull of a new cultural tide. As Islam took root, something extraordinary happened. Afghanistan didn't just become another province of the Arab Empire. Instead, it became a core part of a new, dynamic civilization, the Persianate Islamic world. Fusing Persian language and culture with Islamic theology and science, this civilization created a golden age of art, poetry, and philosophy. And Afghanistan was right at its epicenter. The land that once produced stunning Greco-Buddhist art now gave birth to some of the greatest poets in human history. Jalaluddin Rumi, one of the world's most beloved mystical poets, was born in Balkh. The great Sufi masters Sanai Ghaznavi and Abdullah Ansari of Herat crafted verses that would inspire millions for centuries to come. The artistic traditions of miniature painting, calligraphy, and architecture flourished, blending pre-Islamic motifs with new Islamic aesthetics. Systems of governance and law were refined, drawing on both Persian administrative traditions and Islamic jurisprudence. Far from being a cultural backwater, Afghanistan transformed into a vibrant intellectual heartland, a place that didn't just adopt Islamic civilization, but actively shaped and enriched it, exporting its cultural brilliance across the known world. With its new identity firmly established, Afghanistan's role on the world stage was completely redefined. No longer just a buffer zone between empires, it became a crucial crossroads and a launching pad for the expansion of the Persianate Islamic world. From the plains of Afghanistan, new dynasties like the Ghaznavids and the Ghurids would arise. These powerful empires, Turkic and Afghan in origin, but thoroughly Persianized in culture, would carry Islamic civilization eastward. They became the gateway to India, spearheading campaigns that would introduce Islam to the subcontinent and reshape its history forever. To the north, Afghan lands served as a conduit for Islamic influence into Central Asia, connecting the settled urban centers with the nomadic peoples of the steppes. The old Silk Road routes, which once carried Buddhist pilgrims and Roman merchants, were now bustling with Muslim traders, scholars, and soldiers, all passing through the strategic heartland of Afghanistan. It became a vital artery in the body of the Islamic world, pumping people, goods, and ideas in every direction and cementing its place as a pivotal player in medieval geopolitics. So what is the lasting legacy of this transformation? Today, Islam is unequivocally the foundation of Afghan national and cultural identity. It shapes everything from daily life and social customs to law and politics. But the story doesn't end there. The pre-Islamic world was never completely erased. Its echoes still linger like a faint melody beneath the dominant rhythm of Islamic culture. You can find traces of it in local folklore and legends, stories of ancient kings and mythical creatures that predate the arrival of the Arabs. You can see it in artistic motifs, in the geometric patterns and floral designs that carry subtle hints of Buddhist and Hellenistic art. You can hear it in place names, the names of mountains, rivers, and valleys that have been passed down for millennia. And most dramatically, you can witness it in the country's incredible archaeological heritage, from the empty niches of the Bamiyan Buddhas to the excavated ruins of Greek cities and Kushan temples. The story of Afghanistan is a story of layers. It is a testament to how a civilization can undergo a profound transformation while still carrying the ghost of its past within it. The Arab conquest didn't erase what came before. They built upon it, creating the complex, resilient, and deeply layered culture we see today. Thank you so much for joining Hidden Afghanistan on this journey through a pivotal moment in Afghan history. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments what part of this history surprised you the most. Until next time, stay curious.